Okay, welcome back. And we're going to continue on with our interview here with Nicole Shark.
Okay, Nicole, since you have shocked and surprised me with your supposed rebellious attitude.
Supposed, you like that, Nicole? Supposed.
Yeah, supposed. Hey, it's nice to have another version of thought of me. So,
Well, my version of you, you were very sweet and fun to be around. Of course, I was rebellious and not submissive either. So maybe we were just so kindred I couldn't see it. Maybe that was it.
we're gonna go with that. Yes.
Covert rebellion?
We were the rebellious girls, because we're the same age. We grew up together.
That's right. That's right.
Hey, Nicole, do you have any positive memories that you'd like to share with us while you were in the House of Yahweh?
Right. No, of course. I actually do have a lot of positive things that came from it. I don't mean to make it all sound doom and gloom, but the positives were the people, like the people that we met and we became friends with, and that I still try to keep in contact with, to this day. My dad would have never met Sandy, and had we not been in there, they would have not known each other. And at least for my dad, it was good for somebody to understand that background because, struggles with some stuff, So, I have friends, I have fond memories of, of you and all these other people. I've got all these people that I feel that connection with because people that don't go through something like this don't fully understand it. They might try and they mean well, but they don't really know. So we are all connected, especially those of us that grew up as teenagers, children and teenagers in there, those formative years, these people, I am always going to hold everybody super close to my heart because of that, because you guys are part of who I am. Whether I was playing a game down there or not, the friendships I built were real. The face I had to put on was all having to do with the religious part of it. It used to be so fun. We'd sit around campfires and we'd hang out and we'd laugh and we'd joke. And before they separated everything and made it so dull and you just compartmentalized, they just, separated everybody. It took the fun part away from it. It took the camaraderie away. And I think that's when things got extra dark because you couldn't sit around and talk to somebody and say, hey, what do you think about this? Or what about, and that's what they wanted, obviously. It's not to be able to talk to people about things.
You were still there, Nicole, when they separated everyone?
No, but it was right afterwards.
Okay.
I'm just from hearing and knowing.
Okay. Because I was like, I guess I didn't realize you were there for that transition. Tell me more.
Well, they started doing some of that before we left. They started doing where, like, the males and the females really shouldn't be hanging out together. You couldn't hang out inside of a dwelling with people.
Okay.
Be outside.
But they weren't.
And then they started separating
They were
out.
starting it, but it was, like, not as strict, and they weren't fully enforcing it at that point.
Right. And I know this one of my favorite memories, and it is my mom, but it's just because I'm so proud of her for it. And this I will always hold was one of the sermons. I don't remember what elder was up there, where it was talking about how we need to remove ourselves from our worldly family, that they were going to pull us away, and that we shouldn't have anything to do, with family that wasn't part of the house. Or if they weren't willing, pretty much if they weren't willing to join us, you weren't supposed to have anything to do with them. My mother was very, very close with her family. Very close. My dad and I are still very close with my mom's family. They're very big parts of our lives. They were always great.
And I can concur to that because I, having married into the family, I've now met your mom's family, and now I know why your mom's so sweet, because that whole family is like that. That is what she came from. That is their whole family. Absolutely.
And they're very tight-knit and very close. And we all, granted, we didn't do holidays because, House of Yahweh didn't do holidays, but we had cookouts and we had get-togethers. They made get-togethers on non-holiday days so we could still be included. We knew they were concerned about us, but they were very smart to never condemn us and say, what the hell are you doing there? This is crazy.
Right.
We knew they were concerned, never condemned us, because I think they knew you condemn them, you're just going to push them away. My dad was going to pull everybody away. My dad pulled away from his side of the family because they were very negative about it. My mom's family was very smart in how they handled it. So when we came out and we were done, they were there with open arms.
Right.
And that made the transition so much easier. Well, back to the thing. One of the elders, it might have been Yeshua, I'm not sure, said how we need to separate ourselves from our family. And we're sitting, during feast, everybody's in there. You guys remember the big old barn thing, we're all sitting there. And she said, she stood up. She said, Dad, she said, I will not do this, and walked back to the camera. She walked out of the sermon when they said we had to separate from family. I'm so proud of her. I was so proud of her. I was like, you go. I followed her out. I was just walk right behind her. I was so excited.
You're like, if Mom's leaving the service, I am leaving too.
I'm going too. And I was
Did
so
you wake
proud
up
of her.
long enough to make sure you knew she was leaving? Because I don't know about you, Nicole, but there'd be halfway. Sitting next to Melody when there were sermons was a no-no. Because I wear my long head coverings and hold my scriptures like this and close my eyes while sitting like this. And I'll never forget it. I walked in and she says, you need to start wearing your other head covering because you just sleep in that one.
I don't remember this, but it sounds like something I might have done.
That's the point. I should have got myself a super long one instead of just tying it around my head.
Yes, girl, yes.
I should have, because man, I tell you, the whole time nodding off and jumping every time. I couldn't. It was so hot in there, and it was so warm. I was so happy that she got me, and my dad was just like, kind of dumbfounded for a second, because he didn't expect her. She just went back to the camper, and she's like, I'm not doing it. Like, and she pretty much said, I love you, and I'm going to follow. You want to be here, I'm here with you, but I will not cut myself off from my family. And that was one thing she stood for. Like,
good for her.
She always said, I don't think she agreed with a lot of things. I think there were some things she did not agree with, but she was the good wife. She was there because that's where Dad wanted to be, and she loved my father. She loved her family. She stood up for things where she's like, no, I cannot not say something about this, like that. Right. But that was pretty much.
That's where she drew a hard line.
Yes, exactly. But no, I have a lot of memories, and it's all from the people, the great people that we met, and that I feel I have that bond with because of what we all went through, which is, something totally different than normal life. So.
Right.
I think what I enjoy the most is we haven't talked. We have not physically talked in 21 years. And when we just spoke, I was just like, hey, it was like we had just talked an hour ago, having lunch together. There was no, at least on my end, there was no, ooh, I'm nervous. I don't know. I actually get excited to see you guys. And I get excited for the comfortability because for me, I don't know about you and Mel, but for me, I don't have to be somebody else.
Right.
You guys know. You just know. You know who I was. You know what I went through. You just know. And there's no explaining it. And I love that.
No, absolutely. That's what's great about it. It's like those friends, you just go right back. Mm-hmm. There's so much history there that you don't skip a beat. And that's awesome.
Yes, I agree.
No, I agree 100%. I mean, I'm sure I absolutely know that played a part in my mom and your dad getting together too. Yes. Absolutely. There was an amount of comfortability there that I know my mom would have taken a long time to develop with anybody else.
Right. Oh, I still remember the way she looked at him when you guys came down for Derek and I's wedding. And like the puppy dog eyes stared at my dad. I just thought it was funny.
That was strategic on my part.
Was that? I wondered.
It was. I was like, I had even told I told my husband before we went, I was like, my mom has a thing for this Nick Johnsman. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, you just watch her. You watch the way her whole face lights up when she sees this man. I'm telling you. And he's like, and we laughed. And Mike's like, I have never seen your mom like that. I'm like, I know, right?
Right. No, it was. And I remember my dad was so worried. And he just kept saying, I don't know if I'm right. I don't know if I can do this again. I don't know. Because he dated a little bit after Mom, but just there was nothing of a connection with anybody. Or he couldn't tell them his story because you get looked at like, how dumb do you
Or when he did, you said that he had received judgment from people.
Yes. Yes. Because people automatically think that if you're wrapped up in a cult, that you have to be stupid. And they don't seem to realize that very intelligent people end up in the same spot. It has nothing to do with level of intelligence. Mm-hmm. And there could have been nobody better. And your mom brings out so much good in him and his growth and the fact that just the way she embarrasses him on purpose, like as a joke, is hilarious. I love it.
Well, my mom embarrasses everyone. She's been doing that to me my whole life, so I'm pretty used to it. But
her and I are fine together. So nothing she does embarrasses me. I just think it's funny.
No, they're very good for each other.
Let me put this on record right now, okay? Because Sandy and Nick Johnsman are fans and they watch the show.
Yes.
I have said nothing. My mouth has been shut. So when we all come together next year, my mouth said nothing.
Right.
You two did all the talking.
Hey.
I don't know if they expect anything less. I mean, really.
Oh, exactly. I'm the big mouth in my family. Nicole's the big mouth in hers. So now they got 2 big mouths in their family. It's just going to happen, right, Nicole?
Yes, it is.
Okay, but I don't want to get, when it comes to Sandy, not me. I'm the good one right now, okay?
You know, I kind of pushed my dad a little bit because he was scared. And I was like, just call her. Spend some time. I said, you can live your life in fear and be miserable, or you can take a shot. And I'm really, really glad that he did. And I know, I mean, because it did, they're really, really a good match for each other.
They are. And I was going to say the same thing, that your dad has also been a blessing to my mom as well. I mean, it's really I can't imagine either one of them not being together right now. I can't even imagine where my mom would be without him, or where he would be without her.
Right. And the best part for me as my dad's daughter was that she loved my mom too. She's best friends with her. And she honors her memory all the time. There are pictures of my mom around the house. They're not hidden and put away. My dad had dated somebody previous. I couldn't stand her. And for good reason. She was just negative. She made him put away all the pictures. I said, that'd have been a deal breaker for me right there.
Right.
Like, you're jealous of the memory of a deceased woman. Like, that you wouldn't even be here without that. Just the whole thing. She puts the pictures out. She talks about her. Like, she keeps that memory alive because of what my mom meant.
She
to her.
doesn't just talk about her. Sometimes she talks to her.
When
When she's dealing with some of your dad's OCD stuff, she'll be like, "Oh,
yeah.
Bless you, Debbie. How did you do this?"
Yes.
Mal, you might be telling some secrets.
I might be, but it's okay.
No, it's all my dad's perfectionism is what made him such a good mechanic. And
absolutely.
So good at what he does. We joke that there was, when Derek and I bought this house, there was a spot in front of our French doors that must have been sliding doors, and there was some water damage after we tore up all the flooring. And so we wanted to replace it. It's maybe a 4 by 2 foot section right in front of the door. He spent all weekend doing it. It was perfect. It didn't need it. It could have been probably done in like an hour or 2. He was such a perfectionist. It was perfect. I tell my dad, if there's ever a tornado that takes this house, that section will still be there. We're not going anywhere. Because he's that good at what he does. So when he does something, you know it's done right.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's hard to find. That's hard to find in a lot of things. So we push fun at him, and we do pick at him, and he sits there and he shakes his head. And
he takes it well.
He knows it's out of love. Because
absolutely.
At least you know it's right. You know it's done right.
No, what I remember about Nick was he was always quiet, and he had these like apple cheeks. Yes. And whenever Sandy and Deb were together, being Sandy and Deb, yes. His hat would go into his hands. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Bring it and just, and then his face turn bright red, and he's just so quiet and just so laid back. And then there's Sandy, who's so full of life. And I love when I get to speak to her and she speaks of Deb. It's not just Deb was his wife, I missed her. No, it's I had so much fun with her, and she just gets so excited and she just gets going. And I just love the fact that the love is there. And I don't care what the House of Yahweh told you, Nicole, you'll see your mother again.
Oh, I know I will. I think she had a role in getting my dad and Sandy together, honestly. Yes. I think that because she knew that was going to be the best match for everybody, not just my dad, but me having a relationship, with, who my dad was. It takes big shoes to fill for me to be like, okay, I'm okay with this. Yes, right. I am that kid, but just like, no, she's perfect for it, she is. So I know she's watching. I can only hope that I can be a fraction of the woman that she was. That's what I'm striving to be. So I know everybody talks up people, that have passed on, they talk up people like, of course she wasn't perfect. Nobody's perfect. But when it comes to a mother and somebody guiding you and somebody who just loved you unconditionally, she's damn close.
I agree.
And that's what I strive for.
I agree, and she wasn't my mom.
She wasn't even close to being my mom, but I loved her. Her and Sandy Bright were the moms that I always wanted.
You only
They
think you
were my
wanted my
mom.
mom until you got her, because she will embarrass you. Not that I don't love my mother. Don't get me wrong. I love her and I feel very blessed. But I went through lots of teenage years of being very embarrassed about my
Sandy,
mom.
Sandy,
I know
I
their
love you no
stories.
matter what. I don't find you embarrassing at all, Sandy.
She knows. She knows. She'll understand when she watches this. Okay, Nicole, we're gonna head back on. We're gonna get back on track
Yes.
here. We've kind of went off kilter
Sorry.
here, but that's okay. No, it's good. We're all doing it. So, okay, Nicole. So
Yes.
we know that your sister is still a member of the House of Yahweh. Would you
Yes.
mind talking about how that's affected you and how it's affected your family in general?
Yes. Obviously that's hard. I felt I lost half of my nuclear family at once, my mom and then my sister, which left my dad and I, who at that time had a historically bad way of dealing with each other. We butted heads a lot. And so we were left to, try to work out that relationship with the two people probably that kept us, from being at each other all the time. It's a lot of heartbreak. She was my only sibling, my younger sibling. She's 2 years younger than me. She was always the quiet one, always the follower, never really spoke up. Just did as she was told. Which growing up, that meant she was the angel and I was the troublemaker all the time. Why don't you just be more like your sister? Well, I'm really glad I wasn't now. As much as I don't know how I miss her. It's almost even harder because she is living and breathing. She is, married to, last I knew of him, an amazing guy, who treated her very well. And, and was just, an amazing part of the family. And, now to find out that she has, quite the slew of children, so I have these nieces and nephews that I've never got to meet. And, so my sons have, cousins that they've never got to meet. It's sucks. I miss my sister. The older you get, specifically, it's just like, I don't have these things to share with her. Like my oldest son, Isaiah, graduated last year, and big moments like that, he got married this year, he had a baby this year, all these things that, I just miss my sister. I don't, I don't have that. I mean, her and I growing up, obviously we were at each other because I was always trying to get her in trouble or, always doing something to embarrass her or whatnot. Yeah, just sibling stuff. But, the older we got, I miss her, I worry about her, I worry about anybody that's still stuck there, but I really worry about her because as a female, as a woman, we know where that ranks you there. And
Right.
even though I don't have any reason to think that her husband's not treating her well at all, I don't have any reason to think that. I think that he would do whatever he can to protect her because he's a good guy. But what they're stuck in, those children know nothing of the outside world, so they don't know anything different than what they're living. So how can you wake up from something if you don't know anything different? And that's what they do. They keep you secluded. I just wish she was part of the family. She's missing out on a lot of things. She's missing out on what life could be. And I'm sure, if she was to watch this, she's probably thinking, well, this is what I want for my life. And that may well be. But if you don't know that there's other things out there, if you don't see a bigger picture, she was 8 when we got there. And so she's 2 years younger than me, so she's 40. So 38 years of your life of being in a place. But that's hard. Like, how do you... I worry about her just because I miss her. I'm selfish. I want her home. I wonder if the rest of the family miss her. People ask me about her all the time, not just family, like people she went to school with that I run into, because where I live now is only like 30 minutes away from my hometown. I'll go back there sometimes. And my dad still, lives in the same property, they grew up on. I'll be back in town, I'll go to the store over there or something. And I run into people. I'm like, how's your sister? She's still there, because we went to school there. They knew that we were, we left for feasts 3 times a year, and that we were the kids in that weird religion, that couldn't go anywhere on Friday nights, unless I snuck out, which I did plenty of that too. But, we kind of became known for, we had friends, and
Right.
whatnot, but people still ask me about her. I posted on her birthday, on her 40th birthday, a recent picture that I was lucky enough to receive of her and just said, I know she's not going to see this, but, she doesn't know I love her and miss her, and she's,
No, it's one of those things where
it's hard to put into words.
the void. Some people, I think, might believe that void gets better, or you fill that void with other things when someone's gone, but you can't. There's no replacing somebody. If somebody's not in your life anymore, That void is irreplaceable. It's just
Right.
there, and it continues to be a void.
You learn to live on, to move on, to go, but you don't ever forget it. Nothing ever fills it. Nothing ever, yeah, it doesn't go away at all. And it just sucks. Like I said, I've got one sibling, and I don't get to see her. Yeah. I don't like it. I don't like it. There's nothing I can do about it other than like, I talked to her on Messenger a little bit. Very few. I'll send her a random picture. Like, you know how her name's Bettina, but
right.
we would call her B.
Right.
And so I picked up a little plaque that said like "Let It Be" with BEE with 2 little B's on it, and it's a little thing sitting on our shelf here. And I thought of her when I saw it in the store, and that's why I bought it. And I took a picture of it and I sent it to her, and she's like, "Oh, that's really cute," And I said, "How are you doing?" She was doing really well. Of course, they're always going to say really well because they're not going to let on. And maybe she is in her mind doing really well. And for a little bit, I get little snippets every once in a while. And then I sent her a picture of Isaiah's I had a graduation with Isaiah, and it had my dad and Sandy, it had me, and it had my other kids, and it had Isaiah, in his cap and gown and everything. And I was like, I just wanted you to see this, and I could see where she'd see it, but she wouldn't always respond. And then I got the inevitable one day, a video of some of the women giving speeches. And she told me, she goes, "If you would like to see a speech I gave, you can find it at this, And so, and I watched it, and it was both heartbreaking and happy to see it because I got to see her, and she really does look like my dad in female form, which is what we always told her.
She does.
She really does. And it was great to hear her voice, and I may have just been picking up on this on my own, but it almost sounded like she was trying to convince herself of what she was saying about holding fast and being steadfast and not leaving now, and we're so close, and that very well, me and Sandy both thought it sounded like she's trying to convince herself of what she's saying, but I'm sure a lot of that was probably just what we in our own heads were hoping for.
Right.
That maybe, that, but it was nice to see. I told her, I said, "It was awesome to see you." I said, "You look well," and I chuckled about how she really was like Dad, but I didn't take the bait, which I'm sure the bait was trying to open up that, "Oh, come back, there's not too late," right. type of thing, which I'm guessing was the reason it was sent. And that's fine. That's not going to work on me, but it was good to see her, in the video. Right. And I'd send her pictures of Nikolai, which is Isaiah's son. So, saying, "Look what I've got today," type of thing. Just kind of every once in a while I'll get a response, and sometimes she just looks at it, and I guess that's all I've got right now. And, right. I'm okay with that because it's better than nothing. Yeah. So yeah, it sucks. Yeah. To sum up your question, it sucks to not have her in my life.
I have yet to meet Nikolai or see him in person, but my mom sent me the cutest picture of your dad holding him the other day. Oh my gosh, is he cute? He is adorable.
Oh yeah, he's ornery. He talks nonstop, just like his father. So, I mean, just jibber jabbering, like baby talk. I said, "Isaiah, you're in for it. It's just like you." I said, "That's what you do."
That's hilarious.
Hey, Nicole, what was it like to reintegrate back into society? And did you face any difficulties since you didn't really believe? And do you have anything that you're coping with now that are the effects of 19 years ago?
Yeah, I didn't really have a problem reassimilating because I was wanting it so bad for so many years that I honestly kind of went overboard a little bit. I wasn't dealing with the grief of losing my mother. I had an 8-month-old child, and I just lost, the one person that's supposed to tell me, what do I do with this thing? Essentially, how do I take care of this small human being, And so I was finally free. I could do what I wanted. And so I went out and I would go do things, and I go hang out with friends. And I went a little overboard a little bit, went a little crazy because I was trying to feel like I was trying to regain all of this back. And you can't
make up
get it
for
back.
Lost time.
Yeah,
kind of.
Make up for lost time. So, like I said, it wasn't the best way to handle it, obviously, but it was kind of just like that grab for everything I was missing. And in a way, I think I was trying to bury some of the grief of my mother and a subsequent loss of my sister too. So yeah, I kind of went out and did a little bit of partying and whatnot. That was probably not the best way to do it. I was 23 when my mom passed away, which was exactly half her age. My mom passed away at 46. So the closer I get to that number, it freaks me out. Only just because that's what our human brain does to us.
Yeah.
We try to do a similarities and correlation. Like the fact that 4 years from now, that was I can't imagine, And then it struck me that I was exactly half her age when I was 23. I was exactly half her age. I don't know why that stuck in my head, but it did, that I was exactly half her age. So I went out, and I think I was trying to bury some of that grief on top of it. I kept the rebellious attitude of nobody, especially no male, was going to tell me how to live my life or whether I was wrong or this or that, just because I'm still trying to grasp away from all these male figures in House of Yahweh trying to tell me it wasn't worth anything because I was a female, or that I was not worth anything, but just where I stood in the line of importance, and that never sat well with me at all. It did. I buried a lot of stuff, and I find that even now, all the way now, I'm still dealing with trying to, my poor husband, he gets no leeway whatsoever. And what I mean by, not that he's doing anything wrong, but like, even if how he suggests something or brings something up to me, if I feel he's trying to say, well, you shouldn't do it this way because I snap, and I'm like, I'm sorry, and he's like, I know, I know you're working on this, but I didn't think after all these many years that would still be an issue, but sometimes it bubbles up that I'm really quickly, snap it at, especially like I said, and even and it's unwarranted when I do it. And I feel bad for it because it's obviously, I'm glad he's understanding as he is because I'm snapping. And it's not all the time, but especially if things have been brought up, or if I had a dream about my mom or my sister or whatnot, and it kind of, and I say I work on that. I do a lot of yoga and meditation to kind of get some of that settled down. And it helps. It does help. It's a lot less than it was. That really helps. But I've noticed that those effects, when you start out someplace at 10 years old, I may have really pushed up against them. And I may have really tried to avoid, having any of that affect me. But it does, because those are your formative years. And,
right. So you still have triggers, is what you're saying. I mean, and I
do.
That, and you're not the only one. Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's a traumatic experience. I know I did not have nearly the level of messed up stuff that some people have. Even the videos I've watched.
Okay,
you guys
let me stop you, Nicole. Let me interrupt you right there.
Okay.
Trauma is trauma.
Right.
My trauma for me was very bad. Your trauma for you was very bad for you.
Right.
Same with Melody. Same with everybody. And let me make this very clear to anybody that is watching. Do not take your time or your experience, whether it be in a cult or a bad relationship, and say, oh, well, it could have been so worse. No, honey, it was that bad for you. So own that and work through with it and be okay that it was that bad for you, because you can't compare. It's like comparing your children to another child. Not everybody's the same, but them having to learn and walk and crawl is the same, right? Well, the same with the trauma. So Nicole, your trauma was trauma, and to you it was great. Therefore, to those of us that care and that are listening, it too was great.
Right.
Absolutely.
I know. That's true. And I have to remind myself of that, just, because you automatically want to go, oh, I didn't experience this, so mine must not have been so bad. But you're right. To me, and when I lived it was.
Well, I listen to your story, and I could say the same thing, Nicole. I didn't lose my mom. I didn't lose my sister. So I didn't experience the trauma that you experienced, because I didn't experience that loss. And those are pretty significant losses. Those aren't little things.
No.
They're not fun.
No.
And the woman that you have become speaks volumes to how you've handled that. And are there things that you have to work on along the way? Yes, there are.
Yes.
And you know what? I hate to say this, but even if you live to be 100 years old, you're still going to have things to work on. Yeah. Unless you're like me, you're pretty dang close to perfect. But seriously, I listened to your story. I knew a little bit about it, but listening to it today, I am... Nicole, you need to, when we're done, you need to pat yourself on the back and go, you know what? You did pretty good, kid. You did a good job.
I think I did. I mean, overall, I could have let it paralyze me a lot more than what I actually do, still struggle with. I could have really let it paralyze me a lot more, and I really think I've handled it. When people do find out, like, what I've been through and whatnot, when I do, and I don't hide it from people, but when it comes up and I tell people, the look of shock on their face, like I would have never known. You hide it really well, hide it, handle it, whichever.
Right.
I'm not a complete mess. Yay!
Yep.
In closing, Nicole, do you have anything that you would like to say to either your sister in case she's listening or to anyone else still in the House of Yahweh? I don't know if you want to give a personal message, if that's too hard for you, but if you want to, absolutely, we want to give you that opportunity.
Right. Yeah. I mean, granted, obviously, anybody that's in there is that they're told that there is no life beyond the House of Yahweh or beyond whatever cult someone is stuck in. You're told they are inclusive of everything, and there's no future beyond that, and that's not true. There is vast opportunities and vast things you can do, and what your life can be beyond that it is plenty. Like it's not the end of the road, even though I know it will be hard, to start over. It's possible, and it's liberating. And when it comes to my sister, I hope she knows that my dad and I and all of the extended family and even friends that she hasn't seen in 30 some years, they all love her and care about her and Catan and the kids, and we don't hold anything against them. And I just need her to know that all she has to do is ask. If she ever is like, I'm done, I want to come home, Dad and I will drop everything and come get you. That's all you got to do. Everything. Like in a split second. It's not an issue. We will do it. And we know she has to be ready and has to want to. Right. And, my phone number is the same as it was all those years ago. Like I said, she knows how to get a hold of me. Hopefully she's just got to reach out. Because we would love to have them home. We miss them very much.
I agree. That's a good message.
Yeah. Nicole, thank you so much for coming on with us today. Thank you for sharing your stories. Thank you for sharing your successes, and that's what it is, Nicole. Your life is a success. It was absolutely fabulous to see you. I encourage people to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube page. Go on to Facebook and join our page, Leaving the Lies and Telling Your Truth. And I also encourage people to comment down below and show your love to Nicole. Let her know that she is loved, she is supported, and to your sister and to her husband and her children. You know what? Even if you just side comment us, we'll make sure she gets the message. There's always a way out. Thank you guys so much and have a blessed day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.